So good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us this evening. My name is Christina, and tonight we're going to be discussing holiday stress in our Back Porch Chat. I will say to you that we have about 38 days until Christmas, and a week from today, we'll be enjoying Thanksgiving. So this is going to be a great opportunity for us to engage in some dialogue. We'll be talking about some strategies and some self-care kind of skills that will help us in getting through sometimes this really challenging time. But I want to start off by talking about the problems that we're trying to solve as it relates to what we'll be talking about tonight. So you may have seen or heard that here at One Place that we have three problems that we're trying to solve. We want to ensure that children have healthy development because we know that adverse childhood experiences can have challenges for children forming healthy relationships. We know that resources that we want to make sure that military families, as well as families here in Onslow County, have the resources that they need in order to ensure that they get connected. Yes, Joe.
Christina, if you could stop share and reshare your notes page is the only page that we can see.
Okay. How about now?
Perfect.
Perfect. So with regards to, again, our three problems that we're wanting to solve, that we're going to solve, again, making sure that children have healthy development, because we know that adverse childhood experiences will be a challenge for children forming healthy relationships. We know that families don't always know where they need to go to get resources. And so here at One Place, we want to make sure that families are connected, and very specifically, our incoming military families. And then, of course, child abuse is a complex problem, and it has long-lasting harmful effects. And it happens more than we can imagine. And so we want to make sure that we're eradicating child abuse and neglect here in our community. But in order for us to do that, there are some strategies that we have in place that we're wanting to do. So in order for us to build a strong community, we work to ensure that all children have a strong foundation and a healthy start. The first 2,000 days of a child's life are essential for future success. And we partner with families, community agencies, and professionals in their early childhood community to provide high quality early learning environments so that it encourages healthy brain development and supportive, nurturing relationships that enable children to thrive, because that's what we want. We want to raise the awareness about child abuse and its impact here in Onslow County, and to help educate our community about our role in protecting children and reporting abuse. But together, we continue to build a caring and responsive community with the necessary programs and resources available to families to help them succeed, to prevent child abuse, and to maximize the chances that all children in Onslow County will become successful adults. When we get it right for all children here in Onslow County, and all children, we get it right for our entire community, because we know that children are no small matter. So here's our agenda. We're going to have a good time talking about stress and talking about strategies. We're going to have a couple of group discussions, and here's where I'm going to really need your assistance. As we're talking about this, I want to hear your feedback. I want to hear your feedback about for the questions that we'll talk about. We got a video, we have some group activities, but our conversation is going to be framed around Dr. Netta Gould. She's a clinical psychologist, and she wrote this piece on the 4 mindful tips to distress this holiday season. And so we're going to use her work to kind of talk about some strategies that will help us navigate this holiday season. And the hope is that you're going to get something from the conversation as we collectively engage in it. Okay, and then after that, after we sort of towards the end or towards the wrap up, I got some resources that I really want to share with you that I do believe is also very helpful in the work that we do with reducing this stress. All right, so are we ready? We're gonna jump right on into it. All right. So again, we're going to be doing the work of Dr. Nita Gould, and where she talks about the 4 mindful tips to de-stress this holiday season. And so Dr. Gould, she works now during the time that she wrote this piece, she was a clinical psychologist at the Johns Hopkins Mindfulness Program. And now she's doing some work, sort of an expansion of that work. And so I just want to give her credit because there isn't anything in here that I'm going to talk about that I want to make sure that I'm citing the sources correctly. So as we gear up for the holidays, we often set the bar impossibly high for ourselves. And then we feel upset when our celebrations don't live up to our expectations. This is what Dr. Gould says. So before you start preparing, acknowledging that things may not go exactly the way you planned it. And it's okay not to be perfect. Imperfection is healthy and it is normal. For some of us, it might just take a little practice. And this is what Dr. Gould says. So here's our first activity where this is going to be a question, and I'm looking forward to your feedback. How do you respond when an event or a holiday doesn't go the way you planned it? How do you respond? Go for it, Karen.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. Say more about that, Karen.
Well, you can make a plan, but you cannot plan the outcome. So I'm not responsible for anybody else's behavior at an event. I'm not responsible for their happiness or their lack thereof. I mean, of course, I want to make people feel comfortable and welcome and, let them know I care.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not responsible for them. I'm responsible for me and how I respond to a situation, and I can either engage in the happy and the good, or I can engage in the negative. So I've been in a really down area lately. So this is right up my alley and I'm loving this. This is fantastic. But I'll be quiet and let other people.
Okay, so, but I like what you said. I want to start building off of that. We're not responsible for other people's happiness. We're not, yeah. So, and it's about us owning sort of what we bring into the connection or the relationship, but we can't control other people. We can't control their behavior, but we are responsible for what we do. Thank you, Karen. Anyone else?
You want me to go?
Go for it, Cassie.
I feel like my whole entire life has been, no matter what I plan, something else happens. So I've gotten really used to just, you do the best you can and you take whatever outcome comes with that. I agree with Karen completely that you're responsible for you and how you handle things. And you can't please everyone all the time. You just have to make sure you're doing what you can do to the best of your ability. And after that, it's in God's hands.
I know that's right. We do what we can do, right? As far as it when it applies to us, but we're not responsible for the effects of we affect, but we can't change people. But we can certainly decide how it is that we show up, what it is that we bring into an interaction. Yeah. Anyone else?
Well, I will share, Christina, that I am not as graceful as these two ladies. I I work really hard to make sure everybody has the things that they need to have a good time. That's important to me. It helps me feel good if I am being a good host, so to speak.
Mhm.
And if it doesn't pan out that way, my blood pressure starts to climb a little bit. But you know, I just use some self-soothing skills and do a lot of yoga, you know.
I know that's right. I will share that. Yeah. So I'm sort of like in between both. Like there's a part of me that is like, okay, I'm going to do the best that I can, right? With whatever given holiday season it is, you know, whether it's 7 days from now and we want to make this absolutely fabulous meal. And I got these ideas in my head about how it's going to happen. And then also, or thinking about Christmas, and that means the list and being able to do what I can do so that people are happy. But at the same time, I have to then be mindful and perhaps engage in some mindful practices when I can't get everybody the $1,000 gift on the list. Like I can't buy cars, I can't do that. And so it's about, for me, setting boundaries and realistic expectations for me and working in the confines of what I have. That's the best that I can do. And if I'm giving my best in that, then that is my best. So
If you find a car for $1,000, will you let me know? I do have a teenager.
Well, it would be a tiny car.
100.
Yeah, you know what? If I find it, I will definitely share that. So here's the second part of this question that is really yummy. How much ownership do you assume for the responsibility of everyone having a good time? And I think we sort of started already talking about that. How much do we assume about other people having a good time?
I'll go ahead and go.
Mm-hmm.
So I talk a great game when it comes to that, but I really take it heavy. I'm my worst critic. I think most of us are as human beings. It's normal. It happens. So a lot of negative self-talk will occur. But the ability to come out of that negative self-talk and remind myself that I am not responsible for other people's happiness as long as I'm behaving. Now, because that has a lot to do with it too. But if I'm behaving and I'm doing well and the other person is just not well, I'm not responsible for that. You know, like they're just not happy. They're just not into it, you know, whatever it may be.
Right.
But I will be my worst critic and I will blame myself, but then it's bringing myself back out of that. So, and that's what I've been doing a lot the last couple of days, bringing myself back out of that. So not just the holiday. It's every day is a holiday. Every day I wake up, it's a holiday.
Karen, I want to build off of something that you said. How do you bring, because that sounds, that's a strategy, actually, what you're talking about, where when you say that you bring yourself out of it, like if you were to put it in a few words, what would you share about how it is that you bring yourself out?
So we've all heard of the fawn response, right? Okay, so it's kind of, for me, it's kind of based on that premise. So somebody's having a bad day, somebody's not doing well. Okay, so I'm not doing well. I'm not doing good, or somebody else. What would I say to that? I'm sorry, I'm going back and forth real quick. What would I say to somebody else to help bring them out of that? And I use that same thing on myself. So I'm kind of a fawn response, because instead of that, like aggravated, and doing this, you want to calm down. You want to bring yourself down, bring yourself to a level of acceptance and understanding of a situation that you have, one, probably no control over at the moment. So can I fix it? First of all, did I cause it? Did I cause it? Can I fix it? And is it going to make a difference a week from now? And those are the kinds of questions that I need to ask myself. So it's just really coming down and just I don't want to say submit to a situation, but
Mhm.
accept it. And acceptance
Ooh.
for me is the number one thing that helps bring me out of something. And then doing that, and then positive self-talk on top. I could go on about this for a very long time, so I don't want to take up your whole presentation.
But you know what? But thank you for that, because what we're talking about is our ability to kind of accept, right? So we don't have to be perfect in this, right? But we could do the best that we can with what we have, right? And we can be genuine in our exchange with people, and we can acknowledge, and we can place in boundaries for different types of things, and not just for the holidays, though presentation is geared towards that, but it's truly like what you just said, Karen. It's really just for other opportunities when stress is there, because stress can be there for other opportunities outside of the holiday season. So I want to engage you. We're gonna look at a short video. This is Dr. Brene Brown, and she's gonna talk about imperfection. And I want you to listen to some of the words that she talks about, and then we're gonna go ahead and engage in some conversation around it. Okay? All right, so here we go. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear it.
So one of the things that we do in our personal lives is we try to combat not being enough by pleasing and performing and perfecting. We go through our lives trying to be who we think we're supposed to be, doing and saying what we think people want to hear, putting on whatever mask or face we think we need to put on for that moment. And what that leaves us is exhausted. When we're pleasing and perfecting and performing, we end up saying yes a lot when we mean no, right? Yeah. And we also end up saying no when we mean, oh, heck yes, I want to do that. I really want to do that. And you know what? Even though I have a lot of work, I want to do it now. I don't want to do it 5 pounds from now. I don't want to do it when I'm great. I don't want to do it when I've practiced. I just want to do it now. But we don't have those boundaries when we don't feel like we're worthy and enough. I have this ring. I don't know if you can see it. It's got these little spinners on it. And I bought it for my 41st birthday, the one where I aged 21 years and 12 months. And it has spinners. And my whole new thing is when someone asks me to do something now, I spin my ring 3 times before I answer. And it's my boundary ring. And what I say to myself when I'm spinning it is very simple. And it's choose discomfort over resentment. Brene, can you bring 5 dozen cookies to school tomorrow? No. What happens when we say, sure, I'll be glad to bring the cookies up to the school. Like, if you know me, you know I'll go right into my very high voice. Sure, I would love to. Peanut free, right? And then what happens is you're home in your kitchen and your kids want you to be kind and gentle with them, but you're like this. I hate these people. I hate these kids. I hope they choke on my cookie, you know? So how do we do things without resentment, you know? And it takes boundaries. So in the end, I think if we take away anything from the authenticity piece, it is about the courage to be imperfect, to be vulnerable, and to set boundaries. Because the whole idea of I am enough starts with enough.
Okay. So Dr. Brene Brown, she discussed the problems that we face when we're trying to combat the feeling of not being enough and the struggle with insecurity and vulnerability. And she shared some strategies that could be helpful for us as to help encourage us, give us the courage to know that it is okay to be imperfect. So who can relate to that? It's okay to be imperfect. Yes. I'll put both hands up on that. It is okay, but that takes us. It takes courage for us to say that, right? Like we're not gonna. It's okay not to be perfect. It's okay that the things that we're getting ready to usher into, that we're doing the best that we can, but it's not going to be perfect. That dinner that we may have planned, I may have planned, there may be some imperfections in that. And you know what? That's all right. That's all right. What's your feedback on it?
I'm glad that we got to watch that video again, because I took notes last time, as short as it was.
Mm-hmm.
That is a huge thing for me. So wherever I've worked before prior to this, and trying to get feedback from colleagues, from bosses, from doctors that I've worked with, like, I need you to tell me what I need to do, like, I want your feedback. And the response I get most often is clone yourself.
Wow.
But, and one supervisor that I had couple of years ago, I was just on the phone with her the other day, and she's like, honestly, like, you do anything, but in retrospect, looking back, you're the yes man. And sometimes that can just overload you. And it's not like it shows at work, but that's, you've got to set your boundaries. So that is a thing.
Yes.
Like this self-care and setting boundaries and like just taking a minute is very, very new to me. I'm still not doing it. But for me, self-care is this. It's learning and being with supportive people and going to work and doing something for others that will hopefully change lives. So that for me is very important, and that does make me feel better. So I don't know where to separate that.
Well, Cassie, I think that you're beginning the work, right? And it's just like you said, you're here, right? And so this is for you. This is self-care for us. This is a moment where the things that are happening around us are still happening, but we're choosing to have this moment together, right? So give yourself grace for that, because this is a start. And then you perhaps can add on to some things later. Give yourself grace.
Yeah, Cassie, this is a very intimate setting right now. So I will say I've been with the agency, and Linda, she's just part of us too.
Mm-hmm.
But I've been with the agency for going on 8 years, and every supervisor I have had has told me the same thing. And I'm starting to hear it now. I've always listened, but I'm starting to hear it, is that I do too much. Christina's been my supervisor before. Joe's been my supervisor. I don't think Joe ever had a chance to tell me I was doing too much, though, because he was my supervisor for a very short time. But that I do too much.
Thank you. Let me share something with you too, since you have those.
Oh, Linda, y'all
Right
just start bowling. One place has always said I do too much. Oh, Linda, you're amazing.
You are,
I
Linda.
miss talking to you all the time.
Is this the same Linda that I met today?
No, this is Linda Black. She was one of our
amazing.
Parents. She's
amazing.
Oh, girl, I thought you said a swear word. Good, Linda. I'm glad that you're coming out of it. Oh, never.
Right. Yeah, go ahead, Cassie.
Well, back when I was older and wiser, right about my senior year of high school, I created a self-portrait, I think, and wrote a quote at the bottom that said, "I've always been drawn to the beauty of that imperfection, which makes us more human."
Oh, that's beautiful.
It's good to know that everybody has the same fears and worries and stresses, and we're all in one boat together, which I think that the 21st, when we had our PD day, really brought everyone to a level of just looking around and realizing, as much as we are diving into our work all the time and we live in these different offices and say hi in the hallway, it's like we're all here. We're here together.
We're all here together. Thank you for saying that, Cassie, because I think what happens is sometimes, like, if we're not careful, we'll only see the highlight reel, but the life is really happening. So behind the, it reminds me of the illustration I like to use. I like dance and I like ballet very specifically. And it reminds me of the beautiful ballerina, and she's in her toe shoes, but if you take off the ballet shoe, her toes have worked really, really hard to get to what we see. And so then I feel like that's kind of where we can be sometimes, where we're the ballet, we're the toes sometime in the ballet slipper, but we're all toes together. So it's so good for all of us to kind of just acknowledge and to be in the same place. You know what? We're imperfectly perfect. We're imperfectly perfect. So speaking of which, being imperfectly perfect, how about this? You're standing in a long line, or you're in some nasty traffic when the holidays are getting hectic. And then what about when you're overwhelmed by the hustle and the bustle, and you ask yourself, where does this all fit in the grand scheme of things? If you're frustrated by long grocery lines you're standing in, remember that it's just a long grocery line. It's nothing more than that. It's just a long line, right? So don't let that spoil your afternoon. Don't let it spoil your moment. Don't let it spoil your day. It's just a long line. Dr. Gould also asked this question: can I use this moment of frustration as an opportunity to reflect? So while the cashier rings up the customers ahead of you, take inventory of the good things that are happening today, or the things that you're grateful for. I have a colleague here at our agency that gave me a wonderful gift that I use every single day. It is a gratitude journal. And every day, part of my self-care is that I get my gratitude journal out and I at least document 3 things that I am grateful for. Actually, I am now in the practice of adding so much more, because now I'm able to see, and it doesn't mean that things don't sometimes get pretty stinky, but I don't focus on that as much as I look for all of the things that I'm grateful for that I get to focus in on. So it's a very intentional practice. So even if there are moments that is stressful, how can I make it pleasant? And for me, it's about my gratitude journal. What about for you? When there are moments that seem stressful, how can you make it pleasant for yourself in that moment? What are some things, if you were to call out a couple of things?
Christina, I was really lucky to read an article by the same doctor that you're doing this presentation on after doing some research. And there was, I'll send this article to you guys. I just have to find it again. There was a quote in there that said, notice when other people need you. That really struck me. And so I think about when I'm standing in that line or I'm sitting at that traffic light, if I'm standing in line somewhere, sometimes I will actually look around and see like who needs someone to smile at them. And if I'm in my car, which you know, I spend a lot of time in my car because of the work we do and because of how far I live from where we work. I try to reflect back on the day of, did I notice everybody that was trying to signal to me that they need?
Wow.
And I'm not 100% good. I don't do it every time. But it's made me more aware of when I've missed some cues, or when someone has, given some kind of signal that they needed a smile or something. And so that's one piece that I got from the same doctor.
That's beautiful. Just noticing when people need you. Thank you, Joe. I needed that one. I'm gonna place that in my toolbox too, because as we're talking about these things, like as we're all sharing, I'm putting things in my toolbox that I'm gonna have to use when those moments, and they will arise, they will come, that I have some things that I can actually pull from. So I've got an activity that we're going to do. This activity is going to talk about the benefits of gratitude for positive psychology. And so I'm going to ask some questions, some prompting questions, and then just give me some feedback on what you're thinking about as I ask. So if I were to ask you a question, I am grateful for my family because, what would you say? I'm grateful for my family because
I didn't choose them. They didn't choose me, but we're stuck together anyway.
we're stuck together. We're sticking together. Uh-huh. What else? Anyone else? I'm grateful for my family because
It's a hard thing to put a label on for me. I mean, that's everything to me.
that's everything. Okay, thank you for that. I'm grateful for my family because they know me, they love me unconditionally. They accept me for who I am. I don't have to give them my highlight reels. I can just be me. All right, got another question for you. Something good that happened to you this week. Today is Thursday, the 17th. What happened to you good this week?
Hey, Christina, can you hear me?
Yes.
So my voice is going in and out. Sandy had the RSV 2 weeks ago. Now she has the flu. And I got sick today. So mom is always the last one. But I've been putting in the chat. So I answered your last question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I've got to make sure that we read
It's
that.
okay. I know the host is hard. You can't see the chat. So if nobody tells you. So I'm not going to do the raspy voice. I'm going to try to save it. And I'll be in the chat.
Thank you, Linda. Joe,
Love y'all. Thank y'all for being so vulnerable and sharing. You guys have been amazing. So, but I'm done.
Thank you, Joe.
Christina,
do you mind sharing?
Yeah, let me share. Linda wrote that she was infertile for 15 years. And she said, I love our modern family, including Aaliyah and Jason. I'll be forever grateful for my tiny terrorists.
Thank you, Linda.
And I will keep an eye on the chat and share as Linda types in, Christina.
Thank you, Joe. And thank you, Linda.
Do you mind if we go back just like a fraction?
Yes, go back a fraction.
Back to the grocery line. I just wanted to thank Karen also for that. Did I cause the grocery line? No. Can I fix it? No. Is it going to matter next week? Absolutely not. But what can I do while I'm standing here? And usually for me, it's the mom with the screaming kid and, in the little seat, just kicking and just not happy because it's a transition that we don't want to sit through. So I'll try to find those people and make little googly faces at the baby and distract them a little bit. So that mom over here isn't so stressed out, just finding, like Joe said, anyone to smile at, you're all stuck in this situation together. You didn't cause it. You can't fix it. It's not going to matter next week, but do what you can while you're here.
Thank you for saying that, because you know what? I can recall speaking to moms or me even being a mom.
Having money to buy those groceries. You just be grateful for that. You're right, Linda.
Yeah, I can remember either being a mom or seeing moms, and our little ones will just, sometimes they'll have a tough time because they've been there too long and they really want to do something else. They really want to be running, or they really want that, whatever that thing is. And just being able to just, like you said, googly eyes at the child, or looking at the parents with affirmation, like, you got this, you got this. Thank you for that reminder, Cassie, because that's a way to really kind of take it up a notch and just really capture the moment of just being in that line and just kind of noticing others. It kind of goes back to Joe, when Joe talked about noticing. So thank you for that. That's wonderful. All right, give me something about what good happened this week, and then we're going to move on. Something good that happened this week.
So this is real quick. I mean, everything at work is great, so I'm not going to go that way. This is a personal thing. Well, actually, it's work related, sort of. I'm on my way to an off-site meeting today. So Cassie was there, but she doesn't know this happened. So I'm on my way to an off-site meeting, and I go through downtown, and I'm on my way to turn right. There's a car coming down the road, right? I can't go because here's this car coming, but we all know the speed limit downtown is only 20 miles an hour. I'm not going to pull out in front of her. We're in a school zone, so I'm waiting. So the last second, why'd she turn on her blinker and turn right? Last second, before I even had a chance to be like, that was rude, she had her window rolled down, hanging out the window saying, I am so sorry. Happens. That was a good thing. It made me laugh. And then I was, I was happy when I got to the meeting, but I thought that was great.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
What happened to me after the meeting? I get in my car and I'm driving. I think I was going to try and stop somewhere, but I decided just to go straight back because I had some things to do, talk to Courtney. So from the time I was passing where Piers was and where that no turn on red right-hand turn is to get on 17 is, North Marine or whatever, there's this white Challenger, whatever it is. There's this white blacked out windowed car behind me. And then I realized it has a little light and it's got little lights on the inside, right? Like an undercover cop car. I didn't break any laws, but I get pulled over for no reason all the time. So I'm driving and I get in the left lane. I turn on Henderson. This cop car gets behind me, turns on Henderson. I'm going through all those school zones during school time, going real, like, right, 1 mile an hour under that speed limit, being real careful. I'm like, oh, why are you following me? Like, literally getting in my lane right behind me through all the traffic. I'm like, what is going on? Get up, turn left onto Gum Branch, following me again. I turn right onto Lakeview, the little back road, follows me again. By the time I get back to work, I realized the cop was going to one place.
Oh,
nothing to do with me. And I was like, oh, thank God.
oh no. Oh, goodness. That's so funny. He wasn't even
That made me laugh because I was like, I really thought I was being chased down.
Oh man. That's got my jaws like, oh my gosh, that is hilarious. Wow. That certainly is a 10 moment because you came out of that and it wasn't what we expected, right?
Well, and then after the fact, I'm thinking she is probably so annoyed with me right now because I was going way slower than she wanted to go. She was behind me the whole way.
Oh, you know what? But you know what? I'm so great. What I'm grateful to hear though is that one, we found the humor in it. Two, you definitely followed this. You did what you needed to do. And I can't imagine what you might have been thinking or feeling. But I would imagine that it was some level of relief when we pull in and then it's done. So here's something that Dr. Gould talks about. You can't change how others act during stress during the holiday season, but you can change how you respond to situations. Whenever I encounter a difficult person, I tell myself, this person is suffering and that's why they're acting this way. It softens my frustration. It helps me to be more compassionate and it reminds me that it's not personal, says Dr. Gould. So keep in mind that the holidays are especially difficult for those who are alone. See if you can extend an act of kindness to those without family and friends during this holiday season. So that's a way that how we can actually respond with kindness for others.
I have that same rock too.
You said that same rock?
Yes. I think mine's gray though. My rock is gray and it says kindness. Or no, it says grateful. It's a gray rock and it says grateful.
So what I'm going to do now is we're going to just look and we're going to just talk real quick because I want to be mindful of the time. It is now 6:44. And so I want to make sure that I can hear your feedback with regards to the different things that we're talking about. So we're going to talk about the science of kindness. So let me go ahead and pull that up. And so we're going to talk about the science of kindness. And I'm just going to do just sort of a quick overview of this. So when we're being kind, when we are acting in kindness, there are certain things that will actually take place in our body. One is that we will be in better health. We have a sense of altruism. We feel a level of connectedness. Acts of kindness are contagious. Have you, for example, seen where there was an act of kindness? You were kind to someone, and then it sort of started a chain of other people being kind. Have you ever had an experience quite like that? Where you were being kind, and then because your kindness, sort of this mirror of kindness, then it was actually moved on to someone else and you saw it spread. Let me give you an example. I was once in a drive-through. I don't remember which drive-through I was in, but when I went to go pull up to get ready to pay, the person in front of me had already paid for my order, which was like, oh yeah. But but what I did is that, because I wanted it, it felt so good to me. What I did then is I paid for the person's order behind me. And I hope that the person behind me paid for the other person's order behind them, and that we just kind of kept that chain going. That is something that you might, if you haven't experienced it, you may experience it at some point. I hope that you do during the holiday seasons, because during the holidays, it's a time of giving, and people really do want to give. And so it could be something as small as a cup of coffee. And then that cup of coffee then goes to someone, and then they end up feeling that there is this feel-good hormone that happens in our body as a result of this kindness that makes us want to do the same thing in kind for others. It helps us to feel connected too. Oh my goodness. And particularly when there is, again, if we're having sort of like a not so good time, we're feeling stressed, we're feeling a whole lot of different things. And an act of kindness it can be something as simple as, I don't know, someone in the family feeding the dog. My goodness, it could be just as simple as that. My teen folding the laundry. I didn't even have to ask. Oh my gosh, the bathroom is clean. The living room is, who are these people? Who are these people in my house? Please keep them here. Like, it could be those kinds of things, just small things. Just small things. I don't know. What do you think?
I want to know how to get your teenager to do laundry.
Oh, I wish I had one that did that. They're all grown now, but that was just an example.
No, she does, but only sometimes. But I've always, having been single mom, my family's all 900 miles away. And Layla was really small when I split with my husband, and he was a Marine, but I didn't have TRICARE, didn't have money, and I was working for $8 an hour. And I actually went through us to find childcare. And that was kind of the beginning. It was probably about 2010. And and Dawn hooked me up with the wonderful people over at Pierce. And I signed us up for the Incredible Years and some other things, and trying to just make a network, because I had no family and all of our friends had deployed or gone somewhere, and it was just me and my daughter. So that Christmas, Pierce picked myself and Layla for their family to do the Christmas tree and all these presents, and it meant so much to me.
Oh my goodness.
And now I still don't have any money, but this is what I can do to pay that forward. Like that, it means so much to me to be a part of this, because it meant so much to me then.
Oh, that's beautiful.
That's
Thank you
beautiful.
for sharing that with us.
Yeah, okay, virtual hugs. They're
Yeah.
Cassie. Like we are hugging you, high-fiving you, girl, you got it. So that's that act of kindness. That's the whole science behind it. You were treated, and therefore you want to do for others. Oh my goodness.
To have that empathy, to know that other people are going through things that are hard, and to be that support for them is very powerful.
To be the support.
I think especially in a town like this, where it's very transient and so many people are away from their families.
Yeah, to be able to kind of do some of the strategies, apply the strategies that we're doing to reduce stress, and that would be one of those ways. That random act of kindness, or just kindness in general. Oh my goodness, how that can be for a person. It can be that sort of that transfer of that love feeling in that moment. What that does for people is just what it does for all of us is incredible. So let's talk about something funny. We've got 10 minutes left, and I want to talk about this little funny part here. Talking about when we're talking about holiday stress, and we're thinking about resolutions. So now, just by show of hands, who has made resolutions in the past? If you've ever made a resolution. Yeah, if you ever made one. All right. And so then for some, it's resolutions around eating healthy. For others, it might be about exercise. It could be a number of things. What Dr. Gould talks about is typical New Year's Eve resolutions set you up for failure. If you want to better yourself in the new year, they're going to follow these tips for success. Start small. Break your goal into tinier steps over the course of a year. If weight loss is your goal, it doesn't have to be drastic. Try eating more vegetables during the first month and gradually cut back on sweets throughout the next, suggests Dr. Gould. Be kind to yourself, meaning show yourself some grace. If you didn't achieve last year's resolutions, or you strayed from the path during that time, let it go. It's gone. Let it go. We often contrive these stories. I'm never going to quit smoking. I'm never going to do this. I'm never going to do that. I'm never going to attain whatever. And this is going to add to our distress that we have, says Dr. Gould. We practice. We notice this is self-critical. Let go of that negativity and pick our goals back up without the guilt and shame. What are your thoughts about that? We have 8 minutes left. What are your thoughts?
Guilt, shame, and remorse will break the strongest person.
You better say it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I try, and I think I do. Oh, go on. Sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I think I do a pretty good job just living in the moment. I mean, I am a Sagittarius. So I experience things, I acknowledge them, I kind of work through it, and then I'm over it because it won't matter next week. But I don't ever say never. I mean, I might get frustrated with time or karma and be like, well, really, how long do I have to dog paddle here before like I'm above the water? But I don't say never. I don't ever, anything can happen.
Cassie, Linda shared that she is Sagittarius as well. And of course, you know that I am because you and I are birthday twins.
I know. I love it. Hey, what do y'all think about taking goals like New Year's resolutions, like the idea of it, and breaking them down into smaller steps to accomplish them? What do you think about that?
I prefer to live.
You prefer to live, okay?
I like that too. I liked the word of the year because mine's October. It's not for New Year's. I don't like to give that specific date. It's just something you want to focus on, like one thing that will help you in many areas versus one specific goal. Because if you can focus on your one piece of that goal, like whether it's relax or focus or be present or whatever your word of the year is, that is going to allow you to get closer in many other goals rather than focusing on just one.
Yes. Yeah, and you
what
know what?
Cassie
And that is
just
something
said.
that we do in our agency, that we actually do the word of the year, and that becomes our focus. So thank you for that reminder. I'm sorry, Karen, I stepped over you. I'm sorry about that.
You didn't step over me. I just jumped in. I just dogpiled right on top. No, I just said everything that Cassie just said. I don't choose New Year's resolutions.
Mhm.
That does always set me up for failure. Linda unmuted. Linda, did you have something you wanted to add, hun?
Hey guys, so I am gonna try to actually get through this one. My voice is feeling pretty hydrated at this point. And I am being mindful of the time, but let me just tell you that I only ever had one New Year's resolution, and it was to lose weight when I was in middle school, and I failed. And so I haven't set one since then. Fast forward, weight shaming is a thing. We all are, we all know this. We all know people are, gonna be people. And sorry, these stupid buds. Uh in April, it was Easter, it was Sandy's 3rd birthday, and we took Easter pictures as a family, and I didn't want to get in any of the pictures. Depression and mental and physical abuse, traumatic, all of that, it'll kind of put some pounds on you. So I had ballooned, not that I was small ever to begin with. I was 300 even graduating high school. Okay. In April, I hated myself, and I was a single mom, and I said, nobody's going to do this but you. Okay. So I set goals intentionally that were small so that I could feel victory for once. And I met it. And then I met the next one. And then I met the next one. I am down 80 pounds and smaller than I was the day I graduated high school 20 years ago this year.
My hero.
My hero.
No, I am nobody's hero. I am nobody.
Yes, you
are.
Yeah.
I started small because I have enough to feed. And like I said, I've never, ever, ever not once done New Year's except for the one time in middle school. And the failure just was so raw and cutting to the bone because I just imagined I was just gonna, I don't know, it was gonna be miraculous. I was just gonna, not eat, drink water and eat ice cubes like the other group, whatever. We're not going there. We got 2 minutes left, but that's how I felt about goals, and that's how I feel about them now. That's how I tackle my day. And that's all I'll say. My day has completely drastically changed from when you guys knew me. My day to day, I've been home for 3 months from surgery and complications thereafter. So it's been very, very, it's been great to see you guys and meet you, Cassie. And I'm done, but I believe in goals now.
Linda, I have to say before you go off, I'm so proud of you.
Y'all dogpiled.
Yeah, so proud of you, Linda. So proud of you.
And you are a hero, because I'm over here struggling with the how to do self-care and how to make goals for me that are beyond doing well at work. And that is, to me, being able to break that down into something that's manageable, because I am also like kind of perfectionist. I do not like to fail. I can take criticism all day long and work with that, but I don't like to not be good at what I'm doing. So I shook my head. No, I don't make resolutions because I don't want to not meet them. So I just make the best that I can out of whatever situation. So you are somebody's hero. So you just stop that right now.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you just accept it.
Yeah.
All right. So this has been incredible, y'all. It has been incredible. I'm going to wrap up by just kind of showing you some of the programs and information, our fact sheet that we have to offer here at One Place. You may have seen this before, but it's good information, and we have it available to share. If you need a copy of this, let us know, and so that we can make sure we get you connected to it. Okay. And then Triple P, particularly the Triple P online program, it is an amazing program offered at no cost to North Carolina residents here, at no cost parenting program. It is designed to provide individualized strategies for children 0 to 12, and then your teens up to age 17. Two different programs with their own modules, but it is designed to help families to build skills for supporting their household, reducing stress, and supporting children. And then this is just an example of how that would look. And if you need more information about Triple P Online, come on by to my office and come see me, and I can certainly get you connected. There is some new and updated information coming out about Triple P, and as it is shared with me, the information and resources, I will make sure it is shared with our agency and our community. And of course, our CCNR training calendar has a lot of information, a lot of resources with regards to training, not just for early childhood educators, but for parents as well. So check that out. And our new platform, Foundations for Resilience, where we're offering a plethora of learning and growth and so many different things that you can find that information also on our webpage. My name is Christina. This is my information where you can reach me, but feel free to come on by and stop by the office. I would love to chat with you. I want to thank you all so much for just this truly engaging conversation. I'm going to tell you something. I learned some things. I've got some things for my toolbox. I feel inspired by your stories. Thank you for your vulnerability. And I look forward to seeing you again at another Back Porch Chat.